the cruelty you have witnessed throughout the history of the world. You have a lot of people who have enslaved other individuals, and they treated them worse than livestock. Like, I think about the slavery that took place here in the United States of America. They weren't paid any wage, and they weren't respected neither. They treated them terrible. They raped the women. Sometimes they even raped the men. They beat and tortured and brutalized them when they wouldn't obey. They worked them literally to death. God had nothing to do with that. But you had so-called Christians who would take verses of scriptures like the one we just read and the ones we're going to read and try to use those scriptures to justify this cruelty. Well, I'm here to tell you the Bible never endorsed slavery, okay? God made provisions for people who had to suffer slavery to be treated a little bit better if they were Christians or joined to his people Israel. So I just want to make sure that you understand that, because the old so-called Christian slave owners in the United States of America, what they did not get from this book, okay? And I'm sure there's been terrible atrocities committed against other slaves all throughout the world, but I know about the ones in this state because this is where I live. Anyway, the word servants, when we look it up in the Strong's Concordance, is 1401, and it means a slave, okay? Literally, literal or figurative, or involuntary or voluntary. Now, there were some servants by choice during this time, okay? And then there were some who didn't have a choice. The word masters is 1203 in the Strong's Concordance, and it means a ruler, a despot. So Paul says again that as many slaves as are under the yoke, that means the yoke of bondage, count their own masters or slave owners worthy of all honor. And this is why he tells them this, that the name of God and his doctrine be not blasphemed, okay? In Colossians, Paul writes something similar to the saints in Colossae who were slaves. You know, the ones that were slaves, because everybody wasn't a slave. He says in Colossians 3, verse 22, servants or slaves, obey in all things your masters or slave owners according to the flesh, not with eye service as men pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing God. You see, do it for God. 23, and whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord, and not unto men. 24, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ. So the slave owners here in the States would use verses like this to condone their cruelty and their harsh treatment. But it's funny how they would just pick certain verses and use that as a brainwashing tool to keep their slaves obedient to them.